The Raiders aren't just losing on the field, they're losing their identity, their discipline, and their direction. Against Kansas City, the scoreboard didn't just read 31-0. It screamed dysfunction, humiliation, and complete disarray. 31-0. Not 3, not 7, nothing. 0. You know how many plays the Raiders' offense ran that game? 30. And you know how many first downs Kansas City had? 30. That's the kind of stat that doesn't just show you got beaten, it shows you got exposed. It looked like an NFL team scrimmaging against a bunch of high schoolers under bright lights on national TV, and then you hear Pete Carroll come out after the game talking about how getting Ashton Gentry the ball was part of the plan. Really? Because if that was part of the plan, what game were you watching, Pete? The first play, Gentry gets the ball, 1 carry. And then what? Pass after pass after pass, while the scoreboard still read 0-0. The game hadn't gotten out of hand yet. Second drive, a fumbled snap. Then more passes. When they finally got a first down off a penalty, prime time to establish the run, they threw 3 more passes in a row. No balance, no rhythm, no identity. So when Pete stands up there talking about a run-first mentality, it's hard not to roll your eyes. What he says doesn't match what we see. And the architect of this offensive mess? Chip Kelly. The man who built his reputation on college gimmicks and tempo plays that burned out faster than they caught on. This is the same Chip Kelly who drove the Eagles into chaos, who lasted barely a year in San Francisco, who flamed out at UCLA. Every stop ends the same way. His stubborn system fails, and he moves on to the next paycheck. Now he's the Raiders. Highest paid offensive coordinator, trying the same broken concepts with the same broken results. Pete Carroll made his name with smash-mouth football, running hard, playing physical, pounding the ball to set up deep shots. That's what Raider Nation loves. But Chip Kelly's philosophy couldn't be more opposite. He wants shotgun formations, bubble screens, and quick tempo even when it's going nowhere. These two men don't just disagree, they live on different football planets, and you can see the tug-of-war tearing this team apart. Look at what Kelly did to Jackson Powers Johnson, a first-rounder, a solid young lineman, a kid who played tough, until he had one bad matchup against a top-tier defensive lineman. And what does Kelly do? Benches him. No warning, no competition, just benches him for Jordan Meredith, a guy who can't even snap the ball cleanly. Kelly calls Meredith more athletic. More athletic? The man's botching snaps and getting bullied at the line. That's not athletic. That's incompetent. And then there's Ashton Gentry again, the one bright spark on offense, the only real weapon the Raiders have. Kelly tinkered with his stance, his technique, his rhythm. When Gentry played his natural game, he shined. So what did Kelly do? He cut his touches down. 4 carries in the first half against Kansas City, 1 in the first quarter. You don't do that to your best player unless you're trying to prove a point, or worse, unless you have no clue how to win. Now let's talk about Geno Smith. Yeah, he's been rough. He's throwing picks left and right, and that 67-yard game against Kansas City, that was embarrassing. But Geno isn't hopeless. We've seen him thrive in the right system. Under center, play action, deep strikes. Kelly's system, though, traps him in short passes and tight windows, forcing throws he shouldn't make. There's no adjustment, no adaptation. When your quarterback is drowning, a good coach throws him a life vest. Kelly's standing there handing him bricks. And Pete Carroll? He's letting it happen. He's standing on the sideline, watching the offense implode while the defense gets gassed every single drive. You can't expect your defense to hold up when your offense is off the field after 3 plays. 30 offensive plays in an entire game, that's not football. That's malpractice. And the craziest part is, Pete keeps defending Kelly. In pressers, he spins the narrative, contradicting the tape, acting like loyalty is more important than results. But that kind of loyalty kills teams. The truth is, this mess doesn't start with Carroll or Kelly. It starts with Mark Davis. He's the common denominator through 6 failed regimes. Reggie McKenzie, Gruden and Mayock, Ziegler and McDaniels, Klesko and Pierce, now Spytek and Carroll. 6 shakeups in 6 years, and every time it gets worse. The roster gets thinner, the decisions dumber, the direction murkier. Mark loves the Raiders, sure, but love isn't enough. Love doesn't make you competent. His dad was a football man. Mark isn't. Mark's a businessman chasing relevance, not rings. He's more concerned about revenue streams than the win column. People like to bring up Tom Brady's involvement like he's some kind of savior. But Brady didn't come to fix football. He came to expand his brand. Minority ownership in the Las Vegas Raiders? That's a business move, not a championship move. He wanted Shader Sanders, but they didn't get him. He passed on Sam Darnold, who's now thriving elsewhere. That's not a football strategy. That's confusion wrapped in ego. Mark Davis keeps making the same mistake, chasing names instead of building systems. Gruden was supposed to be the fix, then McDaniels, now Carroll. Each one brought hype, slogans, promises. But you can't rebuild a crumbling foundation with new wallpaper. This team needs vision, structure, and leadership, not another famous coach collecting a paycheck. Behind the scenes, it's chaos. Players showing up late, coaches pointing fingers, no accountability. They're looking to Tom Brady as if he's the answer, but he's not even there. He's calling games from a broadcast booth. Pete Carroll says he's surprised they're not further along. Surprised. Everyone else saw this coming. Injuries to Wilkins and Crosby, Bowers going down early, an offensive line held together with duct tape, a receiver core that wouldn't start on most teams. How was this ever a 10-win team? This roster was never built to contend. Yet they talked big, sold hope, and now it's all crashing down in front of us. So what now? Fire Pete? Then what? Another rebuild, another coaching carousel, another lost year. Fire Kelly? Pete won't do it. Blow it up again? That's been the playbook for 6 straight years. The truth hurts. This team's stuck. It's not just a bad season, it's a bad structure. Every move they make feels like the wrong one. Every hope gets crushed by the same old dysfunction. Mark Davis called the Chiefs lost one of the worst days of his ownership. Maybe so. But for Raiders fans, it's just another entry in a 2-decade-long highlight reel of heartbreak. Because until Mark Davis looks in the mirror and admits he's the problem, his hiring, his lack of football vision, his obsession with optics, this team's going to keep spinning in circles. Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly are just the latest symptoms. The disease sits in the owner's box, and unless something changes at the top, this organization will keep bleeding. The Raiders aren't just losing games, they're losing faith, identity, and legacy. The house of Al Davis was built on just win, baby. Now it's running on just survive. So what do you think, Raider Nation? Can this team ever find its way back to greatness? Or is this just the new normal in Las Vegas? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're as frustrated as we are, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the chaos and drama shaking up the NFL every week.